On a packed transatlantic flight, Dr. Angela Harper, a trailblazing Black CEO, boarded with her first-class ticket in hand, ready to lead a global summit that could redefine her company's future. But when a white man in a tailored suit claimed her seat with a smug grin, dismissing her as out of place, the confrontation that followed didn't just spark outrage. It stopped the entire plane in its tracks just 5 minutes later, leaving passengers stunned and the truth unraveling in real time. Dr. Angela Harper stepped onto the Boeing 787, her carry-on rolling smoothly behind her. She was no stranger to airports, having crisscrossed the globe for board meetings, investor pitches, and keynote speeches. At 42, she was the CEO of Horizon Innovations, a tech firm she'd built from a small startup into a Fortune 500 contender. Her presence commanded attention. Poised, sharply dressed in a tailored navy blazer and cream blouse, her natural hair pulled into an elegant updo. Her first-class ticket for Flight 392 to London was a small reward for months of relentless work. She was headed to a global tech summit where she'd pitch a game-changing AI platform to investors. This wasn't just a flight. It was the start of a pivotal moment for her career. As she approached seat 2A, a man was already seated there, his briefcase sprawled across the adjacent table. He was in his late 50s, white, with slick-back silver hair and a bespoke suit that screamed old money. He was typing furiously on a laptop, not even glancing up as Angela stood beside him. "Excuse me," Angela said, her voice calm but firm. "I believe you're in my seat." The man didn't look up. "No, this is my seat," he said, his tone clipped, as if her presence was an inconvenience. He continued typing. Angela tilted her head, maintaining her composure. She'd dealt with this before, people assuming she didn't belong, questioning her right to be in spaces she'd earned. She pulled out her boarding pass and held it out. "I'm sorry, but my ticket says 2A. That's the seat." He finally looked up, his eyes narrowing as he scanned her. A faint smirk tugged at his lips. "You must be mistaken. I always sit here. Check your ticket again." His tone carried a condescending edge, as if she couldn't possibly have a first-class seat. Angela's jaw tightened, but she kept her voice even. "I've checked. It's 2A. I'd appreciate it if you'd move to your assigned seat." The man leaned back, folding his arms. "Look, I don't know how you got that ticket, but this is my seat. I fly this route every month. Why don't you find a flight attendant to sort this out?" His words dripped with dismissal, his gaze lingering on her as if she were an imposter. Angela felt the familiar sting of being underestimated, but she wasn't about to back down. She waved over a flight attendant, a young woman with a tight blonde bun and a nervous smile. "Hi, there seems to be a mix-up. This gentleman is in my seat, 2A. The flight attendant glanced at Angela's boarding pass, then at the man. "Sir, may I see your boarding pass, please?" He sighed dramatically, fishing it out of his jacket pocket. "This is ridiculous," he muttered, handing it over. The flight attendant's eyes darted between the passes, her brow furrowing. "Sir, your ticket is for 3B, she said politely. "This seat belongs to Dr. Harper." The man's face reddened. "That's impossible. I was upgraded. I always get upgraded. You must have made a mistake." He leaned forward, his voice lowering but sharp. "Do you know who I am? I'm Richard Grayson, CFO of Apex Capital. I don't sit in economy." Angela stood her ground, her arms crossed. "I don't care who you are. That's my seat. Please move." Passengers nearby began to turn, their whispers growing louder. A woman in 1C craned her neck, her phone subtly angled as if recording. The tension was palpable, the air thick with unspoken assumptions. Angela could feel the eyes on her, some curious, others judgmental. She'd been here before, navigating spaces where her presence was questioned, her credentials doubted. But she wasn't just any passenger. She was a woman who'd faced boardrooms of skeptics and turned them into believers. Grayson stood, towering over her, his face a mix of irritation and entitlement. "This is absurd. I'm not moving. You people always make a fuss over nothing." "You people?" Angela repeated, her voice steady, but laced with steel. Care to clarify what you mean by that? The flight attendant's eyes widened, sensing the escalating tension. Sir, please, let's resolve this calmly. Your seat is 3B. I can escort you there. Grayson scoffed, grabbing his briefcase. This is a waste of my time. Fine, take the seat. But this isn't over. He stormed toward the economy section, muttering under his breath. Angela settled into 2A, her heart pounding but her expression composed. She wasn't about to let this man ruin her focus. The cabin crew bustled as the plane prepared for takeoff. Angela opened her laptop, reviewing her summit presentation. She'd spent months perfecting it, knowing the stakes. A successful pitch could secure $200 million in funding, propelling Horizon Innovations into a new stratosphere. Her company's AI platform, designed to optimize renewable energy grids, was her brainchild, a project rooted in her passion for sustainability and equity. She wasn't just fighting for her seat, she was fighting for her vision. 5 minutes later, as the plane taxied toward the runway, an announcement crackled over the intercom. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain. We've been asked to return to the gate due to a security concern. Please remain seated. A murmur rippled through the cabin. Angela's stomach tightened. She glanced around, noticing Grayson a few rows back, his face pale as he whispered urgently to a flight attendant. Something was wrong, very wrong. The plane rolled to a stop, and 2 uniformed officers boarded, their expressions grim. They moved straight toward Grayson, who stood abruptly, his briefcase clutched to his chest. This is a mistake, he shouted, his voice carrying through the cabin. I'm a respected executive. You can't do this. The officers ignored his protests, escorting him toward the front. As they passed Angela, one of them glanced at her, his expression unreadable. Ma'am, we'll need you to come with us as well, he said. Angela's heart sank. Me? Why? We'll explain at the gate, the officer replied, his tone firm but not unkind. She gathered her things, her mind racing. Had Grayson accused her of something? Was this retaliation for the seat dispute? She followed the officers, aware of every eye in the cabin watching her. The whispers grew louder, some passengers openly speculating. What did she do? One muttered. Probably a misunderstanding, another said, less convincingly. At the gate, the officers separated Angela and Grayson. She was led to a small office, where a TSA agent and a senior airline official waited. Dr. Harper, the official began, we're sorry for the inconvenience. This isn't about you directly, but we need your statement regarding the incident in first class. Angela frowned. The incident? You mean the man refusing to leave my seat? The TSA agent exchanged a glance with the official. It's more than that. Mr. Grayson's behavior raised red flags. When we ran his name, we found discrepancies. He's not who he claims to be. Angela's eyes widened. What do you mean? The official hesitated, then leaned forward. His boarding pass was flagged as fraudulent. The real Richard Grayson, CFO of Apex Capital, is currently in New York, confirmed by his office. The man on the plane used a stolen identity to board. We're still piecing it together, but it seems he targeted your seat deliberately. Angela's mind reeled. Targeted me? Why? We're not sure yet, the TSA agent said. But his briefcase contained documents with your name and company details, sensitive information about Horizon Innovations. We suspect corporate espionage. The revelation hit Angela like a freight train. Her company had been on the radar of competitors ever since its AI platform gained traction. She'd faced sabotage attempts before, leaked proposals, hacked servers, but nothing this brazen. What happens now? She asked, her voice steady despite the shock. We've detained him for questioning, the official said. The flight's delayed while we investigate, but you're cleared to reboard. We'll need you to provide a full statement later, but for now, you're free to go. Angela nodded, her thoughts a whirlwind. She returned to the plane, her fellow passengers watching her with a mix of curiosity and respect. The whispers had shifted, some even offered apologetic nods. She settled back into 2A, her laptop open but her mind elsewhere. This wasn't just about a seat anymore. Someone had tried to undermine her, to steal not just her place on the plane but her company's future. As the plane finally took off, Angela stared out the window, the city shrinking below. She thought of the summit, the investors waiting to hear her pitch. She thought of the man who'd tried to take her seat and the larger forces he might represent. But most of all, she thought of her own resilience. She'd built Horizon Innovations from nothing, against odds that had tried to break her. A stolen seat, a fraudulent passenger, a corporate spy. None of it would stop her. The flight landed in London 7 hours later. Angela stepped off the plane, her carry-on in tow, her focus sharper than ever. The summit was tomorrow, and she was ready. She'd faced worse than a seat hijacker, and she'd come out stronger every time. This was just another hurdle, and Dr. Angela Harper didn't just clear hurdles, she soared over them. The story of the flight spread quickly. By the time Angela reached her hotel, news outlets were reporting on the incident. Fraudulent passenger detained after seat dispute on transatlantic flight. Some mentioned her by name, others didn't, but the narrative was clear. A black woman CEO had stood her ground, and in doing so, had exposed a scheme far bigger than a single seat. Social media buzzed with reactions, some praising her composure, others debating the deeper implications of race and power in corporate spaces. Angela didn't read the posts. She didn't need validation from strangers. She had a summit to dominate, a company to lead, and a legacy to build. The man who'd tried to take her seat was a footnote, a reminder of the obstacles she'd always faced and always overcome. As she prepared her notes that night, she allowed herself a small smile. The flight had been halted, but her journey was just beginning.